very warm welcome to this edition of Ground Report of Rajya Sabha Television from Hill Kaka, an eerie and isolated village in Jammu and Kashmir which remains snow-covered from December to April and once was an ideal shelter for trigger-happy militants and terrorists. Hill Kaka region is a remote area, close to the Pir Panjal range that divides the Kashmir Valley from the rest of India. Occupied during summer by migratory nomads, Hill Kaka was once a place bustling with militant activity. Situated at a distance of about 20 kilometers from the line of control, Hill Kaka has had no trace of government infrastructure or civil administration. People said that even if someone died in the village, the burial shroud would reach only after sunset on the second day. The snow-enveloped area was the place where terrorists hid, digging themselves deep into the well-entrenched bunkers in the crisscrossing ridges. It was a time when the terrorists freely kidnapped, tortured and massacred villages. Owing allegiance to groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba, Harkat-ul-Jihad-e-Islami, Al-Badr and Jaish-e-Mohammed, these terrorists built safe houses for themselves, safe havens in the strategic areas of the Pir Panjal region in Poonch. The networks of these terrorist bunkers and shelters all around the region coexisted with shelters used by local herdsmen. The Indian Army then launched Operation Sarpnash, neutralized hundreds of terrorists and militants, recovered arms and ammunition, and all this with unflinching support of local residents of Hill Kaka. It was the summer of 2003 when a Jammu and Kashmir based military intelligence officer on a routine radio interception exercise stumbled upon a vital telephonic exchange. A group of terrorists who had infiltrated Jammu and Kashmir were having a conversation with their handlers in Pakistan about their future course of action. The terrorists were waiting for instructions from their handlers about when to strike in the state. This key input, intercepted through signal intelligence equipment, led to what is today known as one of the largest counter-terrorism operations, Sarp Vinash of the Indian Army. April 21, 2003 was a routine day for army personnel who were ready for any call of duty. The Surankot area of Rajouri sector had been declared a red zone, and the 9 Para Commando Regiment were called in to capture Peak 3689 in Hill Kaka. Although the terrain wasn't helping the search operations, but soon enough the peace of the forest was broken by heavy gunfire from the militant hideout. Indian paratroopers returned the fire. Several terrorists were killed in the heavy exchange of the fire. It was the largest number of terrorists killed during Operation Sarp Vinash. Over the days, the Indian Army busted more than 100 heavily fortified and almost military-like terrorist fortifications in Operation Sarp Vinash. The hideouts were almost like military fortifications, where the militants had stored a large cache of arms, ammunition, and almost 7,000 tons of rations that ran deep into 35 kilometers of Indian territory.
At the peak of militancy in the early part of in the 2002, 3, 4, that is when this was a pocket which was completely under control of the terrorists. They were operating from such a base located at Hilkaka, and it is then that these people from Hilkaka decided to eradicate the terrorism or the militancy from this region. They stood up, they joined shoulder to shoulder with the army, operated together, gave sacrifices. While the army did so, there were enough sacrifices even from the population from Hilkaka. And within a few months' time, we were able to, as a combined effort from Jawan and Awam, we were able to throw out or eradicate the terrorism completely from this region, and we were able to make the entire region terrorism free.
The terrorist fortifications were built on the pattern of the Al-Qaeda hideouts of Osama bin Laden in the mountains near Jalalabad. Some of them were located at heights of over 3,989 meters. Comfortably perched in these secure command and control posts, the terrorists, most of them Pakistani mercenaries, used satellite phones to carry out almost daily conversations with their modular cells spread all over India with their masters in Pakistan. These fortifications were targeted by army helicopter, fired air-to-ground, frog-high, fragmentation missiles. The terrorist fortifications were spread out on the mountain tops to ensure they dominated the angle of fire. Some of the hideouts that were busted had huge underground chambers to accommodate as many as 30 to 40 terrorists. Many were well stocked with surgical and medical equipment. Among the terrorist possessions was a photograph of a slain terrorist posing outside Parliament House and India Gate.
बहुत ज़्यादा क्या हद से भी ज़्यादा मिलिटेंसी यहाँ पे हो गई थी, तो वो आया करते थे स्कूलों में मिलिटेंट, तो आके बैठते थे मास्टरों की चेयर पे आके बैठ जाते थे। हमसे पूछा जाता था हम भाई पढ़ते हैं कि नहीं पढ़ते हैं, हम बोलते थे पढ़ते हैं। पढ़ के क्या करोगे भाई, हम या तो कुछ मास्टर डॉक्टर कुछ ना कुछ बनेंगे। ऐसे ही करते करते काफ़ी अरसे लोगों को बोलते थे कि सामान उठाओ, हमारा सामान दूर से दूर लेके जाना पड़ता था।
आम लोगों का वहाँ कोई चारा नहीं था क्योंकि उनके पास गनें होती थी। अगर हिलकाका से हम मड़ा आते थे तो बीच में 3-4 किलोमीटर जंगल एरिया आता था, तो कोई आदमी किसी हरकत के लिए नीचे नहीं आ सकता था। वो जो कहते थे हमें करना पड़ता था। यहाँ से राशन उठा के मड़ा वाले लाते थे, वहाँ से हिलकाका वाले उठा के वहाँ पहुँचाते थे, वहाँ से लेके वो अपने हाइटू में चले जाते थे।
Trekking towards Hilkaka is a completely different experience. For one, the area is very difficult to access and the travel has to be done by foot. The nearest road is around 6 hours away. It was raining as we were climbing, making our trek even more difficult.
So it's been almost 3 hours of trek now. 3 hours are left for our journey to Hilkaka. The ways are very, very treacherous because it's just rained here and the soil is slippery, making our trek even more difficult. But we'll continue on our journey to Hilkaka. Come along.
But the view was remarkable, with scenic valleys, unique alpine meadows and stunning turquoise waterfalls. For quite a while we climbed without help, till at a point we had to cross a 5-foot boulder lying in our way. Finally, after a 4-hour climb, our destination came into sight.
So that's the last point there, our destination, right up that hill. Camera person Junaid and I are almost out of breath, but our trek towards our destination continues.
Huge ferns dotted the landscape. The sound of falling rain and the grueling waterfalls formed an inimitable symphony. We started our walk again, but Only after an initial few steps, we started panting. Taking deep breaths, we refused to give ear to our bursting lungs. Crossing the difficult terrain, the view opened up in front of us, with an open sky that stretched on miles. Before us were waiting to be heard some glorious and hair-raising stories of valor.
So we finally reached the Hill Kaka village at 9,000 feet, traversing through cold shivers, rainfall, and now scorching sunlight. You can see behind me snow-kissed mountains, dense forests. Let's go and interact with the residents here and find out how they joined the Indian Army in Op Sarpnash, and also what do they feel about abrogation of Article 370.
First we met Tahir Fazal Chaudhry. His hands that today deftly used the sickle to cut forage for his livestock had once fired AK-47s to kill terrorists. In 2002, Tahir, along with many of his Gujar community brethren, were working in Saudi Arabia. The entire group decided to return to their homes after getting letters from their families that carried tales about the brutality and harassment at the hands of Pakistani terrorists. These tormentors had set themselves up in the high reaches of Pir Panjal range. Tahir and his friends, who were all working in the same factory in Saudi Arabia, formed the Indian Pir Panjal Scout and approached the Indian Consulate. The then Union Home Minister L.K. Advani made the arrangements to send them back to Hill Kaka. Tahir and his friends were introduced to various Indian Army camps where they formed a team of young Gujar boys. They also received training in using weapons including AK-47. Today Tahir shows off the recognition he received for his valor. In 2016, he met BJP President Amit Shah. Now that Shah is the Union Home Minister, Tahir hopes he can meet him again so that he can offer his services for the nation.
के बाद दिगरे 22 लड़के सऊदी अरब से हमारे आगे वापस, और हमने यहाँ एक स्काउट बनाया जिसका नाम था इंडियन पीर पंजाल स्काउट। जैसे मिलिटेंटों के यहाँ एक पीर पंजाल रेजिमेंट हुआ करती थी, हमने उसके इंडियन पीर पंजाल स्काउट बनाया। और जिस मिलिटेंट ने मेरे भाई को शहीद किया था उस मिलिटेंट को हमने मारा। द्राबा से आरटी गन्ने चलाई गई, जो द्राबा से यहाँ हिल काका में फायर होता था आरटी फायर, तो उससे कुछ मिलिटेंटों की कमर टूटी। उसके बाद जब ये सर्वनाश ऑपरेशन हुआ तो इसमें 83 मिलिटेंट मारे गए, और उसके बाद मिलिटेंट यहाँ से निकल गए। फिर इलाका हमारे कब्ज़े में आ गया। पहले उन्होंने मुर्गियाँ वहाँ रखी हुई थी, घोड़सवारी के लिए घोड़े थे। यहाँ उन्होंने इसको अपना घर बना के रखा था। पाकिस्तानी करेंसी मिली हमें, यहाँ से सैटेलाइट टेलीफोन मिला, यहाँ से हमें मैप मिला था इसका संसद का।
With tears rolling down her eyes, Kulsum Akhtar remembers the horrifying events of the day that changed her life. The terrorists who descended on their dhokes or the nomadic huts bolted them from outside. Setting these homes on fire, they dropped grenades through a hole hammered through the roof. When the embers cooled, reduced to ash were the remains of her family members. There were several cases where terrorists of Pakistani origin, owing allegiance to groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba, were harassing and intimidating the women folk. Kulsum was one of those who took up government's offer and joined the Village Defence Committee.
जब तक मैं जिंदा हूँ मुझे वो सीन तब तक भी मेरे आँखों में और मेरी नस नस में ही घूमता रहेगा। हम मुर्गे वगैरह घर में अपने पालते थे या छोटे छोटे कोई भेड़ बकरी रखते थे अपने गुजारे के लिए, हमसे वो भी छीन के वो खा जाते थे।
औरतों के साथ मिलिटेंट्स क्या करते?
औरतों के साथ भी ऐसे बदतमीजी कर लेते थे वो। अपने हफ्स की शिकार कहीं औरतें, मैं नाम नहीं लेना चाहती हूँ, कहीं उन्होंने किया। गन पॉइंट पे हमें कुछ भी करवा लेगा, ऐसे वो गन पॉइंट पे लड़कियों को खींच लेते थे।
Once the government decided to involve civilians in their fight against the terrorists, the village defense committees started playing an important role in containing militancy in the Jammu region. Initially, many villagers were reluctant to take up government's offer of arms and training, fearing reprisals from the terrorists. But before long, many elders in the villages, especially former army servicemen, stepped up for the task. Since then, village defense committees have emerged as a very formidable defense against militancy in the region, especially in places like Hilkaka. The formation of village defense committees also put an end to the exodus of villagers. The villagers started feeling more secure and confident to carry on with their lives in their villages itself.
इतनी बड़ी फौज है, जब ध्यान दिया तो उसके साथ अवाम भी हुई। अवाम हुई तो ये आसान हो गया, 2-3 महीने में इसका मसला हल हो गया। अगर पहले ही कहते असल में फार फ्लंग एरिया है, दूर दराज है, यहाँ में रोड का कोई कनेक्टिविटी का जो है ना सिस्टम था नहीं है।
मुझे मिलिटेंट उठा कर लेके घर से, तो रात को मुझे पीटा, तो तकरीबन 3 घंटे मुझे वो पीटते रहे कि आप बोलो कि हम ऐसे रहें ऐसे। मैंने कहा मैं नहीं, ऐसे नहीं रहूँगा, बिल्कुल नहीं रहूँगा ऐसे। तो फिर वो मुझे पीटते रहे। कब जब उन्होंने छोड़ दिया मुझे, तो मुझे उधर से उठाकर फिर गारेक में छोड़ दिया। तो उसके बाद मैं 2-3 महीने अस्पताल में रहा। 3 महीने के बाद मुझे एलओ वालों ने उधर से अपने साथ लिया, और मैं और ये ताहिर फजल दोनों उनके साथ मिलके, जो ये मेरे छुरी लगी हुई हैं, ये छुरी लगी हुई हैं इस लात के, तो मेरे पूरे हाथ भी ऐसे उखड़ गए थे बहुत ज़्यादा। तो उस वक़्त हम एलओ वालों के पास जाकर उधर से हमने आर्मी वालों के साथ बात किया, तो हम यहाँ से चले गए रजौरी में। उधर जाकर जीओसी साहब के साथ बातें की, फिर हमने मिलकर ये ऑपरेशन मैंने तो इस ताहिर फजल ने करवाया था ये सब कुछ।
The Modi government took a historic decision to abrogate Article 370 that gave special status to Jammu and Kashmir. Parliament of India passed Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation Act, ending decades and years of isolation of this region.
But years after Hilkaka hogged the headlines, life remains the same as it had been before the violence started. Today the place seems like a forgotten battlefield where authorities are yet to begin the war against socio-economic backwardness in right earnest. But the abrogation of Article 370 has filled the people of Hilkaka with hope.
आगे ये चाहते हैं कि शांति होनी चाहिए, अमन होना चाहिए। मेन चीज़ ये है, हमें शांति चाहिए। हमें ये नहीं हमारी डेवलप चाहिए। हमें रोडों की प्रॉब्लम है, रोड नहीं है, बिजली नहीं है, पानी नहीं है। अब जब लाइट नहीं है, रात को बच्चे क्या पढ़ेंगे?
From nearest motorable road at the Kalali Army Post in Surankot Tehsil, it takes an entire day's trek through the mountain trails to reach the village. But the challenges do not end here, as one has to ford a snow-fed stream on the route at least 10 times to reach the village that is home to more than 81 families. A middle school with 87 students crammed in a small tin shed is the only government infrastructure that the village can boast of. The villagers, however, complain that teachers hardly ever visit the school. The village has no mobile phone or any other telecommunication network, even in this era of digital world. The villagers are keenly awaiting the arrival of central schemes that can transform their lives after the abrogation of Article 370.
आज के दौर में जदीद दौर चल रहा है, जो 47 में था, 65 में था, वही दौर हिलकाका में आज भी चल रहा है। मैं ये कहना गवर्नमेंट की तवज्जो यहाँ होनी चाहिए कि हमारा जो इलाका उसको प्लेटफार्म पे लाना चाहिए। आगे इलाके की डेवलपमेंट होगी, बाहर के लोग जब यहाँ आएंगे, टूरिस्ट यहाँ बनाया गया तो यहाँ के इलाके की डेवलपमेंट होगी। अच्छी यहाँ अवसार हैं। अगर नूरी चम की आबादी से भी अच्छे हैं, बकरी वाली चम डंगा है, बहुत अच्छी ये जगह हैं। हाँ, यहाँ जो भी कुछ भी करती है सिर्फ फौज करती है बस।
After the abrogation of Article 370, this area has witnessed normalcy. The people, they are carrying out their normal routine. Schools and markets are open, and the people over here, they have taken the mandate of Government of India very positively.
Operations like Sarv Vinash have demonstrated that while infiltration into Jammu and Kashmir and the valley has been growing, terrorism can be met and fought with equal force with counter-terrorist operations. The involvement of the local population makes it easier to fight the terrorists. It becomes possible to considerably reduce his lifespan, first by targeting him at the stage of infiltration, second when he's in the process of setting up base, and lastly as he goes about terrorizing the people of Jammu and Kashmir. It is also possible to turn the tables on terrorism by terrorizing the terrorist. It needs resources and, of course, the wherewithal that can be mustered with political will. A strategy that reconciles an approach to win hearts and minds while reducing the alienation of the local population with punitive operations against terrorists can seriously alter the balance of advantage in favor of our country.
People of Hilkaka suffered for decades due to cross-border terrorism and also separatist agenda until the Indian Army launched Operation Sarfarash. And now with revocation of Article 370, it is expected that novel avenues of development would be opened for these people. That's all I had for you in this edition of Ground Report. As I begin my descent to Surancourt, please keep watching Rajya Sabha television. But that's all from me and Junaid Iqbal Khan.
क्या बात है, बड़े बढ़िया,
बहुत बढ़िया,
उड़िए ना सजे